Everybody keeps telling you Nvidia is the only name that matters in AI, and look, I get it. They sell the shovels, the stock that went to the moon, and everyone is obsessed. But I've been buried in the actual numbers for weeks now, and I'm about to say something that's going to annoy a lot of people. Nvidia is not the king of AI. There's a company that quietly owns almost every single layer of this thing, from the chip inside the machine to the app on your phone, and hardly anyone is talking about it properly, and it's Google. And by the end of this video, I think you'll see why I'm not being dramatic. If you're into this kind of here's what's actually going under the hood breakdown, do me a quick favor and hit subscribe right now, because I dig into this stuff every week and I'd hate for you to miss the next one. Alright, let's get into it. Now, before I can convince you of anything, you need to understand how an AI model actually gets made and used, because this is where the whole argument lives. There are basically 3 stages, and they're wildly different from one another. Stage 1 is training. This is the big, scary, expensive part. You take a model, feed it an insane amount of data, and burn through mountains of chips and electricity to teach it. Training is basically a one-time event for a given model, and while it costs a fortune and eats data centers alive, it's the part everyone pictures when they think of AI. Stage 2 is fine-tuning. Once you've got that giant trained model, you can shape it for specific jobs. Part of this is something called distillation, where you take a huge, smart, expensive model and shrink its knowledge down to a smaller, cheaper model that still punches way above its weight. Think of it like a master craftsman teaching an apprentice everything they know, so you don't have to pay for the master every single time. Stage 3 is inference, and honestly, this is the one that matters most. Inference is what happens every single time you ask a chatbot a question and it answers you. It's the real-time generation, live on demand. And here's the key thing to burn into your brain. Training, you pay for once. Inference, you pay for over and over, every second, forever, for every single user. And as AI goes mainstream, inference is where the real cost lives, and it's where the real money gets made, and whoever can run inference cheapest basically wins. Remember that, because this is the whole ball game. Now, here's the thing about this stack. It's not just models. To actually run AI at scale, you need the models, you need chips, and you need data centers to put those chips in, and you need networks to move all the data around the planet. And normally, different companies specialize in different layers. Nvidia makes the chips. Some labs make the models. Somebody else owns the data center, and a telecom owns the cables, and everybody takes their cut. Everybody is the middleman. Google doesn't really have a middleman. That's the entire point. Let me just list what they own. They own Chrome, the browser billions of people use to get online. They own the Gemini models themselves, their frontier AI. They design their own custom chips called TPUs or Tensor Processing Units, and get this, they've been running their own AI silicon since 2015, which is more than a decade before the current craze even kicked off. They own their own data centers. They own their own fiber networks, including undersea cables stretched across entire oceans. And oh yeah, they also own YouTube, one of the largest sources of video, audio, and text data on Earth. Think about that list again. Chip, model, data center, network, distribution, and data. Google owns basically all of it. Nobody else on the planet owns the full stack like this. Sure, Amazon and Microsoft are really strong, but they're renting huge chunks of it from someone. Google built the pieces itself, and that's what people mean by vertical integration. And honestly, I can't think of another tech company that has it end-to-end the way Google does. Okay, so who cares if they own it all? Well, here's why it's a massive deal, and this is the part that made me sit up and really start paying attention. When you own the chip and the model, you can tune them for each other. Google can design a model that runs perfectly on its own TPU, and then design the next TPU around what its models actually need. That tight little feedback loop is something you simply cannot do if you're buying chips from someone else, and the payoff is brutal efficiency. Over the course of 2025, Google cut the cost of serving Gemini by 78%. 78% in a single year. That is not a rounding error. That's the kind of number that reshapes an entire industry because, remember, serving cost is inference, and inference is the forever cost. And because they control everything, they can roll out improvements fast. A better chip, a smarter model architecture, it flows straight through the whole system with nobody to wait on. The result of all this is cheap, efficient serving that Gemini is now baking into products reaching billions of people. The Gemini app alone crossed 900 million monthly users. Their AI overviews inside search reach more than 2.5 billion people. And Google now has 13 separate products with over a billion users each. That's a distribution machine no startup can dream of. And the scale of what they're processing is genuinely hard to wrap your head around. 2 years ago, Google was handling roughly 9.7 trillion AI tokens a month. As of this year, that number hit 3.2 quadrillion tokens a month. That's an increase of more than 300 times in 2 years. Not 300%. When I saw this chart, that was the exact moment it clicked for me that we are looking at a completely different kind of an animal here. So, let's talk money because Google just reported and the results are wild in both directions. This is the Q2 report that landed in late July. Google Cloud revenue jumped 82% year over year up to $24.8 billion. 82%. That's faster than Amazon's cloud, faster than Microsoft's cloud, coming from the third place player who's supposed to be the underdog. Cloud operating income more than tripled with margins climbing up to around 35%. And the backlog, which is basically money that's already contracted but not yet booked, sat at $514 billion. $500 billion of future cloud business already lined up. On top of that, Google just started actually selling its TPU systems to other companies, placing its custom chips directly inside customer data centers. The chip business is turning into a real business. So it's all sunshine and rainbows, right? Well, not quite, and here's where it gets spicy. To build all of this, Google is spending money at a pace that frankly scares people. Capital expenditure hit around $45 billion in that single quarter, and they raised their full-year spending guidance yet again. All that spending pushed their free cash flow negative, and they're dead up. The market did not love it. Despite genuinely great revenue, the stock actually dropped after the report because Wall Street looked at the spending and got a serious case of jitters. So, is this genius or is it madness? Well, here's where I give you my honest take, and I'll be upfront with you. I lean bullish on this one. I think the fear is short-sighted. Yes, negative free cash flow sounds terrifying if you only read the headline, but look at what the money is actually buying. It's buying data centers, chips, and network capacity that Google will own and operate for years at costs nobody else can match. This isn't a company setting cash on fire with nothing to show for. This is a company that already proved it can turn its own hardware into 82% cloud growth rate and a 78% cut in serving costs. So when a company with that track record tells me it wants to spend big to own even more of the stack, I'm inclined to let them cook. The way I see it, everybody else in the AI world is renting chips, renting capacity, renting somebody else's cloud. Google owns the land, the factory, the trucks, the roads, and the store at the end of it. In the short term, that ownership might look painfully expensive, but in the long term, when inference cost is the entire game, owning the cheapest way to run AI on the planet is going to look like one of the smartest bets any company has ever made. Nvidia might sell the shovels, sure, but Google owns the whole gold mine, and it went and built its own shovels too. That's my read on it, and if this actually shifted how you think about who's really winning the AI race, do me a solid and smash that like button because it helps the channel way more than you'd guess, and hit that subscribe button so you're right here when the next earnings season blows everything wide open again. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.